Homeless orphan twin brothers had no choice but to live in a cave as they had no place to go. They were surprised to discover that they were the heirs of a $3.7 million inheritance from a woman they'd never even met. Jack and Chandler were 23-year-old twin brothers who spent most of their lives in an orphanage. They lived in poverty after their mother left them when they were 1 and she couldn't support having 2 children. Their father left when he learned they would be having twins, and while their mom initially planned to keep them, she realized there would be no way for her to support them with the job she had. When Jack and Chandler turned 18, they were asked to leave the orphanage that they could no longer accommodate them. They became homeless and had no choice but to live in a cave on the city's outskirts. They spent their days rummaging through landfills looking for things to sell. While on the hunt for sellable items, they'd also give back to the orphanage they once lived in, as they were innately kind people. Whenever they found old toys in the garbage, they'd clean and repair them, and if they were usable, they'd donate them to the orphanage. The twins knew what it was like growing up without privilege and parents. They grew up without a sense of family and without feeling love and compassion from those around them, so they were determined to provide kids at the orphanage with a source of joy through those toys. The brothers were humble individuals who didn't believe in begging. They wanted to work hard for what they had, so they barely accepted any help from others. On days when they had nothing to eat, they would accept food donations from people, but that was it. They refused to take any money and instead scavenged through trash for items they could sell and earn money from. Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story. One day they met a homeless 13-year-old boy named Dave. Concerned for the boy's welfare, they offered to take him to the orphanage they once lived so he had proper shelter and necessities. Dave refused, begging the twins not to call the police. "Can I stay with you instead, please?" Dave pleaded. "I'll help you scavenge through the trash so we have something to eat every day," the young boy promised. Jack and Chandler were good with kids, especially after being the eldest at the orphanage they lived in. They agreed to take Dave under their wing and take care of him. "All right then, it's better than you being alone on the streets. It can get dangerous," Chandler told him. For months, Dave lived with Jack and Chandler inside the cave. They became his older brothers and they treated each other like family. One random day, Jack, Chandler, and Dave were in the junk shop where they usually sold the things they found in the trash. There a social services representative was waiting for them. "Are you Jack and Chandler Hawks?" the representative, who introduced himself as Ali, asked them. Jack and Chandler nodded, looking at each other in confusion. "Why?" Jack asked. "I've been looking for you for a couple months now. I'm glad I came across this junk shop when I sold some spare metal I had at my home. I saw your names in the logbook and noticed you came here every weekend. I'm glad I chanced upon you today," the woman said. Jack and Chandler looked at her with blank expressions, surprised to find out that someone had been looking for them. "What do you need from us?" Chandler asked this time. "You see, a certain Sandra Hawks left behind an inheritance worth $3.7 million, and it's currently named under the two of you," she revealed. Jack, Chandler, and Dave's eyes widened. $3.7 million? They said. "But we don't know anyone named Sandra Hawks," Jack told the woman. "We've been orphaned since we were a year old. Did the inheritance come from our birth mother?" Ali shook her head. "Not quite. Sandra Hawks is your grandmother," she shared. "However, the inheritance did come with your mother's approval." Suddenly, Jack and Chandler felt sad. "Does that mean our mother had died?" Chandler asked. "No, your mom is alive," Ali revealed. "The inheritance should have gone to her, however she requested that they be transferred to you. She felt she had no right to receive the money after abandoning you." The boys were surprised at the sudden selflessness of their mom. They wondered whether or not she was already rich, which was why she didn't want the money, but Ali informed them this was not the case. "Your mother also lives in poverty. She lives in a shelter for women when she relies on food stamps for daily food," she revealed. Jack and Chandler asked Ali to take them to their mom. She drove them to the shelter where she lived, and there they had an emotional reunion. "Is it you, my twins?" their mom Sylvia cried. She caressed each of her sons' faces as she cried. When Jack and Chandler nodded their heads, she couldn't help but sob. "I'm sorry, my sons. I'm sorry for abandoning you and never coming back," Sylvia cried. "When I got the inheritance from your grandmother, I went to the orphanage I left you in, but you were no longer there. I tried looking for you, but I couldn't find you," she explained. "You see, when you were born, your grandmother disapproved of your father being my husband. We eloped and I hadn't seen your grandmother since," Sylvia revealed. "Even when I couldn't believe when she left me the inheritance, but when I received it, you were the first 2 people I thought of." Jack and Chandler remembered all the years they lived in the orphanage and how they'd always longed to meet their mother again. While the experience of being abandoned was both traumatic and painful for them, they were happy to meet their mother finally. "I know it must have been hard for you to leave us, and we didn't live easy lives because of your decision, but I forgive you, Mom," Chandler said. Jack nodded, echoing his twin brother's sentiments. "I always dreamed of seeing my mom again, of having a complete family. Now that you're here, I'm willing to let go of the past and start anew," he said. Sylvia cried, grateful that her sons were willing to get her a second chance. Jack and Chandler decided to purchase a lovely house with the money they received, where they lived alongside Sylvia and Dave. As they had a lot more money to spare, they used it to get college degrees so they could find good jobs. Eventually, Jack met a lovely woman and got married. He adopted Dave to be his son, and they cared for him like their own.